Hello, y'all. I am back on this exercise bike, ready for another video. And first of all, I wanted to thank you so much for listening to the video. And I have some great news for y'all. I checked my blood pressure yesterday, and guess what my numbers were? 121 for the top number and 78 for the bottom number. So I appreciate y'all so much for being part of what lowered my blood pressure, because you're listening to my videos. That motivates me to get on this bike. Remember, the entire time I'm doing the video, my legs are moving on this exercise bike. I'm sitting on the exercise bike right now. So I appreciate you so much. Technically, that top number is still 1 point over because it's 121 and it should be 120 or under. However, 1 point shouldn't be too hard to get down. So I am proud of myself, and I am so grateful for this entire health journey that I went through. I've kept the 18 pounds off, and hey, my blood pressure's back to normal. No medication needed, and I did it the way the Lord wanted me to do it, the healthy way. So anyway, this video is going to be about the Narcissist Clan. And the word clan, C-L-A-N, in English means a group of people with a strong common interest, or a family, preferably a large one. Okay, so let me repeat this one more time. Clan, C-L-A-N, is a group of people with a strong common interest. Pay attention to that word strong, because that's going to help navigate us into this video. Or it's a family, preferably a large one. So understanding what the word is, the Narcissist Clan is oftentimes, you always hear about this. Other people use the word flying monkey. I'm not gonna lie, I don't prefer that word. I prefer to say the narcissist helpers or enablers or things like that, But I guess that's what the flying monkey term means. But I guess that term also stemmed from the Wizard of Oz and all of that back in the day. However, I'm gonna call it the Narcissist Clan because it's a little bit more than just their basic helpers. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm going to bring up the case with Betty Broderick. Okay, I love to case study. I have my favorite cases that interest me the most throughout the years. And one of them, and some of the cases that interest me, they are cases like that happened before I was even born, y'all. So a case that interests you doesn't have to be even a case that happened while you were living. It could be something that happened before you were even born. So a case that I really found really interesting is the Betty Broderick case. She murdered her husband, which was a big time famous lawyer, Dan Broderick, and he ended up having an affair on his wife. They had been married 16 years, something like that, 16 to 20 years. They had been pretty much knowing each other and married, and they had 4 children, I think. And Betty Broderick, she was even on the Oprah Winfrey show many years ago. Of course, she wasn't technically on the show. She was being interviewed from prison. So they had her on the TV screen. So Dan Broderick got with a woman named Linda Kokina. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. So she was a really pretty young lady. She almost looked like Dan Broderick's wife did, Betty Broderick, when Betty Broderick was young. Because when Betty Broderick married her husband, Dan Broderick, she was very pretty. Not to say she wasn't pretty when she Okay, so I apologize for that, y'all. That was an alarm going on off. So I really apologize. So I think what I was saying, I put it on pause. So I think what I was saying was yeah, Betty Broderick, when she met her husband, they were both young. And so she, if you look at his new relationship that he got, he ended up marrying Linda Kokina. She was about, I think she was about 15 years younger than Dan. So Dan was having this affair, messing around with Linda. He fell in love, married her, but it was kind of like, it almost seemed like he was having some kind of midlife crisis, but he was definitely head over heels for Linda. It seemed like he was head over heels for Betty when he met her. And Linda was really pretty, like Betty was when she was really young. However, Betty had gained some weight, as a lot of women do as they get into their middle ages. They had 4 kids. Um, it looked pretty on her. I mean, I'm not saying she was no big old woman, but she wasn't the skinny little pretty girl, the same pretty girl that she once was. She gained weight, of course. So she had stated that there was times Dan was calling her fat and stuff like that. I mean, he was acting narcissistic. I mean, he did a pretty cruel discard. I mean, he discarded the woman like she was like yesterday's trash. So he didn't want her no more. I mean, I wish, I'm just going to say this, and I hope this makes sense. I wish I could have been Dan's friend when that was going on. And not for the same reason Linda wanted him, not to have no affair with him. I think it was very unfair to Dan Broderick. He had what you call the Narcissist Clan. Oh, I'm going to say this, y'all. Fair use. Fair use under FBI guidelines. I have a right to discuss a case for educational purposes, okay? Entertainment, educational purposes, and etc. So it's a good idea to mention that when you're bringing up people's names, okay? So fair use again. So Dan had the Narcissist Clan. So the clan is a group of people with a strong common interest. So he was this big time lawyer. I think he even brought in like 100,000 a month back then, not a year, a month. He was a big famous lawyer. Okay. So when he married Linda Kalkina, I'm just gonna call her Linda, so I'm not messing up this deceased lady's last name. So, or Kalkino, I'm not gonna mess her name up. I'm gonna call her Linda. So, and I could pronounce it right if I was looking at the spelling. So he had all this money, and he was in love, but he had the Narcissist Clan, of course. So he had all these people he had a strong common interest with. And of course, they were other lawyers, judges, other people that were in political arenas. I mean, of course, he's a big time lawyer. So he's surrounded around a lot of politicians, right? And some of them were close friends of his. So, of course, his wife, Betty Broderick, she was the traditional housewife. She put Dan Broderick through school. He worked and went to college to get his law degree. Betty decided to just put her life on hold, just raise the kids, and put her total support into her husband and kids, which is what a lot of women did back then. Okay, she was basically his backbone. However, that backfired because when he got to where he needed to be or wanted to be with all his money and his law degree, he was ready to dump off who had supported him the entire time, which was his wife of almost 20 years, Betty Broderick, the mother of his only children. Okay. And I want to add this, they were a Catholic family, so they did have a religious background. And I'm mentioning that because Betty Broderick, she mentions that, you know, in one of her interviews. And I'm going to add some of the documentaries or court appearances and things like that. I'm going to put that in my historically informative movies playlist. So I'll add that to the playlist so you can kind of see this case. And of course, it'll be the Betty Broderick, Dan Broderick case and all of that. So one of the things that bothered me about that case, of course, it ended up in a pure slaughter. I mean, Betty Broderick, the ex-wife of Dan, took the house key, the little mini mansion or wherever they used to stay, or wherever Dan was staying. Yeah, where Dan was actually staying. She went into their daughter's purse because their daughter was at Betty's house. They're in separate homes now. Dan's married to Linda. He's over there sleeping in his nice, beautiful home. Betty, his ex-wife, takes the key out of their daughter's purse and she drives over there with her gun. She gets out of the car, takes that key, goes in that house, walks up those stairs, and she claims she's going there just to talk. That's what she said. However, I mean, come on now, that ain't gonna go right. I mean, you want to talk to him, call him. But of course, there's all these stipulations. If she makes a phone call, if she contacts the kids, if she does this, this, and that, she's gonna be charged $100. They're gonna be taking the house from her. I mean, like I said, I wish I could have been Dan's friend because I wouldn't have been part of his clan. All his clan did, this narcissist clan, they enabled him. They participated in this fantasy. You know, when he married Linda, he had to wear a bulletproof vest. I would have explained to Dan, you know what, Dan? You can wear that bulletproof vest, but I promise you, you're not going to have that vest on 24 hours. And if you keep fucking with this lady, your ex-wife, this woman is going to blow all of y'all away. You never got the energy that she would kill the kids. You didn't feel that. She loved her kids. She was a great mom. There was really no parenting flaws in her parenting for real. She was just a traditional woman. However, she was pissed. She was a scorned woman. She was hurt. And the way they was handling her would have triggered anybody. Was it right to go kill? Dan always said he was scared for his life now, but he should have been. However, that big old narcissist clan of those enablers, they didn't have his best interest at heart. And I'm going to explain to you why. For one, those type of clans, they are, I apologize for that, y'all. This is like my nightmare video, huh? All kind of noise tonight. So they weren't right. I mean, basically, you know, with those kind of clans, with politicians and lawyers, you know, you got to look back at when that was going on too. It still goes on today. I mean, you, the ex-wife, they look down on housewives. Let's just be honest. I mean, it's an important role, but you're not no big lawyer like Dan, right? So she was just dismissible. I mean, a lot of the friends that they had together that were their friends in common when they were married, of course, was no longer her friend because Betty's not married to the lawyer anymore. So she's dismissible, you know. And I believe the advice I would have gave Dan, to be honest, was I would have said, look, I love you, man, but give her the freaking house. Let her see them damn kids. Okay, drop y'all kids off. Like, stop charging this woman all these freaking court fees and taking this woman to court, doing all this contempt of court shit. I mean, you see, she's losing her mind, right? She's cracking right in front of you, literally. Dan, this woman gonna put you in a casket for real. I love you, Dan. Don't do it, right? But of course, nobody said in court that this is what they told him, and I'm not saying didn't nobody try to say it to him passively aggressively, but with these type of narcissist clans, they have a whole lot of support in court. I mean, a lot of support. He was a good man. He had a beautiful smile. He didn't deserve this, especially Dan's brother. Dan's brother was like, that horrible, evil woman killed my brother. However, there was no accountability for what his brother did to continue to keep triggering this lady that's already going crazy. This woman is basically having a nervous breakdown, but she wasn't important enough to care about. I mean, even if some of the narcissist clan that used to be her friend too would have continued to be her friend too, then that could have helped. But of course, they was only her friend and playing along like they was cool with her because she was married to the big time lawyer. But remember, he's only this big time lawyer because this woman Betty didn't had this man's back. He wouldn't have been able to do all of that if he had to stay home and watch all them kids they had. And who paid the ultimate price for this was the kids. I mean, Betty ended up, she's still in prison right now today, I think. I think she's still living. As far as I know, she might be passed away. I'm not sure, but I don't think she's passed away. And, her kids really wasn't visiting her in prison because she was sent far away. And she ruined her kids' lives, especially their financial life, because that was a lot of money that could have been in their life. When the dad was murdered, when she murdered her husband and his new wife, Linda, I mean, the kids lose out. There's no more money. However, the Narcissist Clan, they're part of what makes this murder happen too, because nobody's honest. They're enabling you to your death. They're supporting you. Yeah, let me buckle this bulletproof vest on. Yeah, good job, man. Beautiful wife. Good wedding day. Yeah, I'll look out and make sure Betty's not at the wedding. They really thought, they were so scared at that wedding that they thought that Betty had the capability to come to Dan and Linda's wedding. He married his mistress basically and lied about it. I mean, the whole time he was messing with Linda while he was still married to Betty. He was gaslighting his wife, playing with her reality, lying about it. Of course, the lies came out later. The lies were disclosed also in the court case. But see, with the Narcissist Clan, they playing that shit out like this some kind of Scarface movie, right? Because remember, that's kind of like the thrill. They having this thrill or whatever. Like, yeah, like a bad boy movie, and you could kind of get that. And this ain't the only one like that. I'll explain this other case to you too, but I'm trying to get you to see a real live example of how this plays out. And you got cases where the person may not even be a big time lawyer like Dan Broderick was. However, they develop a clan. So even if it's a disobedient young man or woman, their clan becomes mentors, teachers, all the people, counselors sometimes, all the people that make them feel like the victim. And as a result, they're out there homeless and struggling. And that's their clan because none of these people really tell them the truth. Man or girl, you better just shut your mouth. Stop disrespecting your parents and your family. Take your ass back home. Get the F up out this shelter. And you better off at home, man. Or you better off getting you a job, man. Get you a job. If you don't want to go back home, man, get you a job. But they develop clans too. It's just on a lower level because it's not a political clan. And I watch these cases all the time, and I'm not gonna lie, it irritates the hell out of me. And I'm gonna say this too. I just want to add this. I am in no way in approval of what Betty Broderick did. I think Dan Broderick was a handsome, educated lawyer, and I think that he thought he was in love and seemed to be in love. Who I feel the most sorry for, to be honest, is Linda. And I'm going to tell you why. She was younger. She was 15 years younger than Dan, and about what, 12, 10 years younger or whatever than Betty. So she's the young one. She's the mistress. And she died, and she was not even, I think she was what, about 26, 27 when she died or got murdered. She's murdered by Betty. I mean, Betty went in that house with that key, went up the steps, claimed she wanted to talk to him. One of them reached for the phone to call the police, and she shot them both. I think Dan made it kind of out the bed, but the photos were so sad. I mean, you see the live photos because Linda still had her pretty pajamas on. She had the prettiest complexion, even laying there, on the bed. It was just so sad. And yeah, her and the kids are the biggest victims because they're younger. And Linda, she's young. Maybe if she would have been in her 40s or something, she would have not decided to be a mistress. I mean, she could have been married to Dan for several years and maybe wanted to have divorced him. She might have found somebody more her age. You just never know. Betty really did a stupid thing because she claims she's Catholic. So murdering them, of course, is not part of being a Catholic. They're not supposed to be murdering people. I went to Catholic school when I was young, part of my life, and I know that much. You're not supposed to kill. That's against the Lord's wishes for you to murder anybody. So she was disobedient to her religion, but I mean, she never really apologized as far as I know. I mean, she sat on the Oprah show, and Oprah Winfrey kept trying to get her to apologize, and she just wouldn't do it. She was like, no, this is why I did it, and I don't feel bad about it. And Dan should have stayed in his marriage, or however she said it in so many words. That was my husband. He pissed me off. He wanted to take my house, took my kids, and I shot them both. And my intention was to just talk to them, but they didn't want to talk. And that was the whole thing. Like, that's another thing. If I would have been part of his narcissist clan, I would have told him, just say hello. Just say hello to the woman. Like, Dan, answer the phone. But see, he did it that, remember, he's a lawyer. So I think what happened when I watched the case, remember, this is what he does for a living. He's telling people, if you call my client again, it's $500. He kept going up on the fees to the point where the alimony that he was paying, Betty Broderick claimed that the attorney fees and the contempt of court fees and all the fees that he would put on her for any call or bad curse words she would say or anything like that, it was eating up the alimony. I think she was getting, at first, I think it was like 10 to 16,000. I mean, he had the money. I mean, 100 grand a month, supposedly. Come on now, that's a lot of money, and this is many, many years ago. I would have told him, just pay the house off. The murder could have been prevented. All they had to do was calm her down. You actually could have gaslit her. Okay, and Lord, and I know a lot of y'all don't want to believe in the zodiac sign or whatever, but they were both winter babies. These are two Scorpios, y'all. And that was one of the things I noticed in the case. You kind of look at people's birthdays and their winter babies. I mean, how else was this gonna go, right? Because when their mamas was pregnant with them, it was cold out. That's how I look at it. So you got these two winter babies, and it just ends in a bloody murder. That's just how it ends, you know? And I hope they rest in peace. Like I said, I'm not in approval of that. I think that Betty ruined her life and the life of others. And there was just a better way to do it. It just was. I mean, I also think Dan, you know, even though he was acting narcissistic with the relationship part, he just wanted out the marriage. So he did seem to have the ability. I'm going to just be honest with you about Dan, too. Dan was the type, okay, both of them could have been gaslit or worked with. Because all she had to do was be nice to Dan. All she had to do was just let him know, you know, I'm fine, baby. You want the other woman. He might have even came back to her. He might have went over there with Linda, stayed with her 3 or 4 years, realized it didn't work, and came on back home to his wife. But see, that was part of the problem because, like Betty said, a lot of the other people in their wealthy neighborhood had had the same problem. And those men got rid of their side chick and mistresses and worked it out with their wives. But Betty thought her situation was going to work out like that, and it didn't. So she was kind of comparing herself to other women that it went through the same thing, and it just didn't work out like that. But if she just would have been more focused on her own life and just asked Dan, you know, can I get this much a month? I think he just would have gave it to her. He just wanted her to leave him the hell alone. And at first, he wasn't even taking the kids from her. That escalated because she continued the harassment. And he just wanted to move on with his life. And he wanted to move on with his life. Dan wanted to move on with his life without being her friend. And I think that's what hurt her. And that's where I always say, I wish I could have been his buddy or homegirl, because I would have said, Dan Broderick, look, let me tell you something, homeboy. This gonna have to be a case. You gonna have to play like you her friend, man, or she gonna blow us all away. I promise you. See, he needed some Midwest advice, but he didn't have that. He had the Narcissist Clan. So you see how it ends. It ends in 2 deaths because the Narcissist Clan, in my opinion, that group of people that have that common, strong interest in that political arena, they, in the real sense of the word, they naive too, y'all. See, we be thinking just because somebody, a politician or judge or lawyer, yeah, these seem to be people that's not naive, right? But this is the area where they're naive. Some of them could have been criminal lawyers, criminal attorneys, right? However, this is where the naive part comes in. These type of people, the Narcissist Clan, these supporters and allies and things like that, they believe that bad can't happen to them. See, they don't see themselves getting shot down in the house or outside. They don't see that happen to them. They see that as a external force. Like that shit just happens to other people. And that is the problem with the Narcissist Clan, because they view things in that light. They can't really tell you the real nitty gritty. Because see, I would have told Dan, send me a video, because if you got to go to your freaking wedding with a bulletproof vest, I don't give a care how fine Linda is. I won't be sitting in none of them seats, partner. You record that wedding. I love you, man. Here's your gift. And you call me and let me know that you made it down the aisle okay. However, I ain't getting shot with you because you're getting a bullet, Dan Broderick. But the Narcissist Clan, That's not how they talk to people. See, because those type of relationships, those political relationships, a lot of it's money based and it's very superficial. It's based on how we look, what color the Mercedes is, what new matching we're getting. And a lot of times they probably don't even have these type of discussions unless they're making fun of Betty Broderick. Yeah, you did better, man. Look at your new woman. She's so beautiful. Forget that old house Cinderella chick. They talk like that, y'all. I mean, a lot of these people, and I'm not saying in this case, but they didn't talk too fond of Betty Broderick. They were basically just cool with her when she was married to Dan, and they probably would have did Linda the same way. They was all chummy chum with his new wife, but when they got divorced, they probably would have did Linda the exact same way. And there's this other case, because what made me think of doing this video idea, there was this other case where this gentleman, he was a woman beater, and he had the big Narcissist Clan too. He had police officers that were friends of the family. He came from a legitimate middle class family. They knew a lot of politicians. I mean, the courtroom was filled because he was killed, but he was an abuser. And he got a girlfriend that fights back. So he kicks women's asses, and she ended up stabbing him. And they're all crying in court. Look at her. She's the evil woman over there. But he had a Narcissist Clan too. He even had police testifying on his behalf in this other case. This is not the Dan Broderick case. And in this other case, I mean, you got the police. Your friends are police officers. And can't none of them tell you, man, that woman gonna kill you. She already stabbed another dude back in the day. This ain't the one you need to be beating on, man. And for a matter of fact, why don't you stop hitting women? But they didn't tell him that. They actually, on one occasion, saw him hitting her, and when she hit back, got down on her, like, don't hit him back. Why don't you tell your friend to not hit the woman, even if you just pull him to the side and tell him? But that was another Narcissist Clan. And see, the reason, remember, I went over the reason why they won't tell them the truth is because that's their friend. They don't believe it could happen to him. And that's where I have a different belief. And I be in situations where I be around narcissistic people and they got their clans. They may not be rich. And they got a lot of people that's really not telling them the truth. Versus I'm telling them the truth. And they hate me for it a lot of times, or they're highly annoyed. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. You keep running from police. They going to shoot you. Yeah, so what? State law says that they're not supposed to shoot you in your back. When you're running, in the state I'm in, they're not supposed to shoot you in your back. However, do all police officers follow rules? That is the problem. They don't all follow rules. So, like I told this one individual that acts narcissistic, you keep getting involved in these situations, you could possibly come across one that won't follow the rules. However, in this particular narcissistic person's circle, he's created a narcissist clan. So they're not really brutal with the information. So it makes it look like, oh, you're just crazy. Because see, that's how I live my life. These things can happen to me. That's how you got to view your life, like, wish well upon yourself. However, you got to remember there's a lot of good-hearted people that are killed and harmed. And you got to remember, even though you're a good person, it can very well happen to you. So what you have to do is acknowledge that, and to make sure it doesn't happen to you, you have to make sure that the people that are in your clan, remember, empaths, we got clan too. So as an empathic person, whether you're a normal, you're an empath, or narcissistic, which means you aren't a full-blown narcissist, but you are narcissistic, you want to make sure that you have an empathic clan that tells you the truth. You want people around you where you say, do my breath stink? And they say, yeah, I think you ought to call your dentist. That's the type of people I want around me. Is my jaw swollen? Do you see fluid somewhere in my face? Or, you want people to tell you the truth. You want doctors that tell you the truth. Hey, you got cancer. You got about a year to live. If the Lord wants you to live longer, you'll live. But I want an honest doctor. You know why? So that I can prepare for my death. Tell me the truth. Don't lie and tell me I got 8 more years. When you see the test show that I got cancer all throughout my body and I got a week to live. I'm just giving examples, So make sure that you have the right clan around you. And that's just a group of people. It could be family or non-family that you have strong common interests. Pick the right clan so you can get the right information. So you're not in a situation where you go to your death like Dan Broderick and Linda Kokina did. You want to just have honest, solid people around you. And when I watch some of these cases, I be so pissed off with the Narcissist Clan. Because I be looking at it like this murder was just so preventable, y'all. All they needed was a home girl like me to tell them the honest to God truth. That's all they needed. And because they didn't have that, they either go to grave sites because they're killed, they're seriously injured, or at a minimum, they lose a lot of money. Lose their health, have nervous breakdowns. Some of them have strokes because of the mental health crisis, because they got all these narcissistic clans around them. A bunch of people that's claiming they ride or die, they won't tell them the truth. And watch that case, the Betty Broderick and Dan Broderick case. You'll see that case was those deaths were preventable. But he had the Narcissist Clan. They thought that shit was funny. Okay? Some of those people were borderline wicked to me. I'm sorry. And a lot of those really, really rich lawyers, the bad ones, I mean, they do their job well, but some of them, they need to work on that part. Just really accepting that those cases that they prosecute and defend in the court of law, everything that goes on in court can happen to them too. And Dan Broderick really just could not believe. It was like, he was like borderline delusional. And he was so busy falling in love, y'all. Y'all know how it is to fall in love. Because he was just acting narcissistic. We don't know if this man was a full-blown narcissist, but he definitely didn't want that woman no more. He discarded his ex-wife, like I said, like yesterday's trash. And you could feel her pain. However, if you are a man or a woman and you're in these situations, give them the house. Break them off a good check. Pretend like you their friend. Say, hey, how you doing, Betty, baby? You doing good? You want to come over here and have coffee with me and Linda? Girl, come on. See, he had to do her like that. I'm sorry, because she just wasn't one of them type of women that was cool with being dumped like that. And what hurt her the most, and you can relate to this, dealing with narcissistic people and full-blown narcissists and psychopaths, she just couldn't handle just the way he went no contact. I mean, she was his backbone, put him through law school, and had his only children. They had 4 beautiful children. I mean, they was going on the skiing trips. They went on these wonderful family vacations. And she just couldn't handle the discard. She just couldn't. So anyway, I've been on this bike almost 41 minutes, y'all. I love y'all so much. Thanks for listening. This video was not perfect. You know, we had had an alarm going off and things like that, but it's okay. You know, sometimes you gotta not be so perfect. However, what was perfect was that blood pressure almost 1 point up. I need that top number to be 120 or below. It said 121, and that bottom number was perfect. So I'm on the right road. Staying calm and here with y'all and doing these videos. And I'm gonna stay on this bike because having this YouTube channel, being on this bike, walking, and doing my daily household chores and the work that I'm supposed to do for any other jobs that I have, I'm on the right track. I got my results, y'all. I'm getting back what I put in. When you invest in your health and you decide, I'm gonna be on this bike, and it's easy to be on this bike when you're doing videos. Try it. Even if you choose not to do a YouTube channel, I've been encouraging y'all to do that so I can support you too. But even if you decide not to do a YouTube channel, you can do other videos, just talking with the family and stuff, you know, or record yourself on the bike. Just start talking and send the video to somebody through Messenger or something, you know. So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all so much. And I am going to add the Betty Broderick and the Dan Broderick and the Linda Coquina case. May they rest in peace. Hopefully Betty, before she leaves this earth, I hope that somehow she can find it in her heart to be sorry for what she did. But the last time we checked, she just wasn't sorry. And so her soul is going to be in grave danger. You know, because I mean, that was like cold-blooded murder. I mean, the man don't want to be with you. He don't want to be with you no more. Just go on and raise the kids and leave this man alone. And so what if he takes the house? Just let him take the house. Just move to an apartment or do something else. I mean, there was other options other than taking Dan and Linda's life. So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment, y'all. And click on the bell notification so that when I upload new videos, you will get the notification right away that I've uploaded a new video. And I appreciate y'all so much. You're very special to me, and it's very special to my heart because over the last 7 months of me going through my health journey with my 18-pound weight loss, along with the exercise, so that I could get my blood pressure back under control, because my blood pressure just seemed to be high just because of the weight, y'all. When that 18 pounds is not on me and I'm exercising, there's really no high blood pressure. That's the truth of the matter. And so that was my motivation to get it off before it got too out of hand. It's a lot easier to lose 18, 25 pounds than to lose 200. But hey, if you gotta lose 200, do what you gotta do. I just know that it takes a real strong person to lose 200. And I don't know if I was that strong. I think I'm just strong enough to lose about 18 to 50 pounds. That's where my strength is at. So I try not to put myself in situations that I can't handle. Anyway, again, please like, share, and subscribe. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye.